guys, and welcome to another battle report. I know it's been a while, but life is a bitch sometime. Anyway, gameplay versus the Vampire Covenant, and we're playing Diagonal Deployment. And breakthrough is the scenario. So let's walk through his list. He have a Varkolak, a unit of 8 dogs, a small unit of Gant Bats. Then he got a big 12-man unit of Barrow Knights. In there he got one of 2 big vampire. This one have some sword that raises up knights if he kills something. Then he got a bunker of zombies with his caster in it. A big unit of skeletons with spear. Some vampire knights with the other vampire lord. This one is very killy against things with large present or large height. I don't remember what the rule was called, but basically monsters. You got another Varkolak and 8 more dogs. As for my own army, I decided to stay back a bit actually. My hounds are pretty far away from the rest of my line because I've dropped them first. But then I just dropped rest behind my lines to get the first turn. And to start with the left, I got Jörmungandr. If you know anything about the Norse mythology, you know that's the big serpent who have crawl around the whole Midgard. His place as a chimera in this game. Then we got the unit of barbarians. With there I got my caster with 4 extra spell and wizard master from Path of Wilderness. The shamanism is called. Then I of course got my general Surtur, who is also one of the Norse mythology monster, the fire giant. Hiding the rest of my army is a frost giant, a unit of warriors. In there I got my BSB. He is pretty much defensively kitted with 1-up armor save and lucky charm. And then I got a blood beast. That's my army on the board. Then I will have 2 fallen beasts who will ambush, as well as a 20-man unit of barbarians with throwing axes. In there I got a Jarl with the skull splitter bow, and that's basically my army. As for spells, I got Awaking the Beast, Totemic Summoning, Break the Spirit, and Swarm of Insects. So for my first turn, I didn't vanguard one of the dogs because I wanted to charge his dogs, because since I got the charge, I charged downhill, and hopefully I can do some wounds there. I will remove that chaff unit, and the plan is to overrun a bit. If I'm lucky I can even get some small buffs on it if I get a good medic phase. Otherwise I back down with my other hound unit. And now you can see more closely my deployment with all of my monsters. Unfortunately you cannot get too many monsters into this list because of limitations. But anyways, this is my movement. You can see, or you cannot see, one of the dogs have run up on the hill out of sight of any of his units. Here is a best picture of that dog unit who have run up forward as this. I did get Swarm of Insects off and killed 6 of his dogs. He dispelled the rest of my spells, and in combat I did manage to get rid of almost all of his dogs, so unfortunately I didn't get out of the arc of the Varkolak and the Barrow Knight, unfortunately. And for the Vampire Covenant turn 1, his Barrow Knight charges into my hounds. And well, he moves his Varkolak around like this, around my flank, which is kind of sloppy play from my part, not covering that angle with Surtur or Jörmungandr or something, but yeah, shit happens unfortunately. And well, with the rest of his lines he pretty much stay backs. He uses his Varkolak and puts him in front of my dog, so my dogs cannot charge his dog, unfortunately. But what can you do about that? Nothing. Yeah, so for my turn, you can see he didn't do much in magic. He did manage to wipe up my dog unit with his knights. So for my turn, I back away actually. I am okay with taking the Vampiric Knights in the front of my warriors. His Baron Knights needed, even though it might not look as it in this picture, a very long charge to get into the flank of my Wasteland warriors, and hopefully he will not make it. So hopefully his Blood Vampiric Knight and Baron Knights charges my warriors, and they will hold, and then I can counter charge with the Deserter and the Blood Beast and the Frost Giant and whatever can get in there. Use the Hounds to chef up his Varkolak in my flank, and yeah, that's basically the movement from my part. I move up the dog a bit behind his line, and you can see on the top of this picture that the Fallen Beasts get on the board this turn, but not the Barbarian unit, unfortunately. I think Jörmungandr tried to charge his Hound. I didn't need much, it wasn't an 8 or 7 roll, but I failed it and ended up as you can see him. Unfortunately, not much more happened in my turn. In his turn, this Varkolak charges my 5-man unit of dogs. So for his turn, he put his caster into the skeleton unit and turned them to face my Fallen Beast. The zombies are still looking straight ahead, and I think the Blood Knights just move up. The Baron Knights tried to charge but failed, and you can see he just pushed up his line a bit. The Varkolak runs into the middle of his army, as well as the big bats, and that's his movement. He did get some kind of spell off and took a wound onto one of my Fallen Beasts. He also did get up an extra unit of zombies into the middle of his army. And well, in combat, of course, this Varkolak managed to kill off the dog. I don't think he actually killed them, but he breaks them and they run off the board. But unfortunately, he did not pursue them and reform like this. Well, in my turn 3, I think my dogs needed a 4 or a 3 to get into the flank of his dogs, but I rolled a 3 or a 2 on Swift Stride, unfortunately, so they didn't make it into the flank of his dog, unfortunately. So they are just a big failure. I think now just Jörmungandr flow up, get ready to get into his bunker. One of my Fallen Beasts were able to charge his bunker and is in base contact with his caster, and hopefully I will be able to kill off his caster with one of my Fallen Beasts. That's the plan, at least. And well, on this flank I have to pivot my warrior unit to face off his Vampiric Knights, and yeah, I am prepared to counter charge with my Blood Beast and Surtur and Frost Giant next turn if I could be able to hold up his line. Other news, I had to take the caster out of the Barbarian units since he doesn't really have any missiles. I cannot really get to him. I'm pretty okay with it. Hopefully the Barbarian can hold up his Varkolak, or if his Vampiric Knight charges, I will just flee and he will get a fail charge. Hopefully that's the plan, at least. So that's it. In Magic, I cast Swarm of Insect onto this Varkolak, and I did manage to do a wound to him. My Fallen Beast betrayed me and couldn't do a single wound to his caster. Since he have 2 Vampiric big guys, he couldn't really protect his caster anything, so it's a shame that my Fallen Beast couldn't do at least a wound to his caster. So this is his turn 3, and it's a little bit complex. First off, he Varkolak charges my Barbarian. I choose to stand. Then his Vampiric Knight charges my Barbarian, and I choose to flee. So they run off the board. And then his Vampiric Knight then decided to charge into his my warriors, as well as his Barrel Guards. I think then his Varkolak also redirected into my wizard, who also chose to flee. And that's all of the charges. The Barbarian fled off the board, the caster is down in the right corner, and the warriors hold their ground. Hopefully his Baron Knights will just fail that charge. And unfortunately he did not. He passed with both of them, but it was hard for him to get in with both of his units, because that's why you can see we will adjust it so all of his Blood Knights are in base contact later. But yeah, he could only clip with his Barrel Knights, and his Vampiric Knight could get in. And well, that's his charges. Well, here you can also see the picture of his skeleton are turned to face my line instead of the fallen beast behind. He also pushed up his zombie unit so that my Jormungandr cannot flank charge him. And yeah, that's basically his Varkolak slides around to flank charge my warrior next turn. He pushes his zombies to use them as chef for my blood beast maybe or something. I don't know, we will see. But yeah, that was his movement. You can also see now he has slided in the Vampiric Knights into the warrior unit so that we maximize. Well, the vampire player cheats and brings on another unit to the board, who he plays in front of my Frost Giant, so my Frost Giant cannot charge his blood Vampiric Knight, and instead he will just be forced to beat the shit out of some zombies. And well, in combat, warriors are pretty hard in combat, and he didn't do too much to me. I did some to his Vampiric Knight. My BSB were in a challenge with one of his vampire. I did one with him. He couldn't do any wounds to my BSB, which is strange, at least. And that's it for his turn 3. So over to the warrior's turn 4. And well, in my turn, the fallen beast moves backward and crushes into the ambushed barbarian unit, who will be there because we're playing the breakthrough. It was important for me to be in his deployment zone. He can turn around with his zombies. I will probably just kill them. With the skeleton it's much harder, but I could potentially kill them as well, or at least keep his wizard from facing forward and casting spell forward. That's the plan, at least with this unit. Jormungandr didn't need too much to get into the back rank of his Baron Knight, but unfortunately he failed and could not get in. You can see my dogs have made up their work because they charges the large bat and were able to get into their flank, and hopefully they will just wipe that unit off the board and keep running forward. Well, on this flank, I think the Blood Beast actually failed a pretty easy charge in towards his skeleton unit, which is unfortunately, because now the Blood Beast cannot take care of that. Surtur makes it into the Blood Knight, which is good, and the Giant charges to get rid of those zombies in front of him. In this combat, I did manage to get off some buffs to my warriors, so they are +1 strength, which is good, to penetrate all of his armor. We started off the combat with my dogs, were able to wipe out his big bats, and I think actually my Blood Beast couldn't charge his skeleton unit now, because from this angle I can actually see he has placed 2 dogs in front of him, so he will just kill them and overrun a bit. As you can see in this picture, this is where my Blood Beast ended up, and this is pretty good because he can flank charge him with his zombies, and hopefully I can just wipe out a unit of zombies in one go. That's what I think will happen, at least. And then I can just turn to face off his Baronites and whatever he have back there and charge him in my turn 5. That's the plan, at least for the Blood Beast. The Frost Giant manages to kill off those zombies in front of him, and he just turned to face so his Varkolak cannot charge my caster behind him. Well, in the challenge, my BSB does 2 wounds to his vampire, so he's dead. His vampire did 3 wounds to my BSB, and he is dead, which is unfortunate, but I trade my BSB for his character any day of the week, so that's pretty good. So now I want you to either turn your head or your screen and look at this picture, cause I win this combat. But unfortunately Surtur is out of combat now. His Vampire Knights have taken some heavy losses, but he slided in his Barrow Knights into the combat. So that's my turn 4, over to Vampire turn 4. So for his turn, what's good? His zombies charge the Blood Beast, and I will hopefully just wipe them out and pivot him to face off the Barrow Knights if my warriors can hold. He have his Varkolak over there who are in combat, unfortunately, but we will see what happened in the combat phase. I got some buffs on me, so hopefully I can hold a bit longer. The other Varkolak charges Surtur, and he put some hounds in front of the Frost Giant, so the Frost Giant cannot make the charge, unfortunately. Well, on this flank he turned his zombies around, and his skeleton are staying put because he don't want my fallen beast to get into the flank of his zombies. And yeah, unfortunately he killed almost all of my warriors. I wasn't steadfast. I think I might have auto-broke, but I'm not sure. Anyway, they run away and he captured them with Barrow Knights, I think. The Varkolak goes in and does 2 wounds to Surtur, and Surtur didn't do anything to him. I turn to face him. Hopefully I can be able to kill off the Varkolak next turn. And this isn't good at all. 2 of his zombies survived. I kind of had some bad rolling with the Blood Beast, and yeah, this isn't good at all. So yeah, this is how the board looks. The Giant charges the dogs. The Chimera didn't need too much, but he failed to charge the Vampiric Knights from behind, unfortunately again. Wasn't too long of a charge there. The dog moves as you can see them. Then a swarm of angry insects flew up to the Varkolak and sting him to death, which was very much appreciated. I did manage to get rid of both the Varkolak and the dogs on this flank, which is also much appreciated. And this was a total failure. I had my Jarl and the Bavarian charge the zombies, and I fluffed rolled, and I think I actually lost this combat by 1 or 2 points. But I did manage to stick, which is a good part, at least. So for his turn 5, I did get to break the spirit on his Vampiric Knights, so he just marched them around, so my Frost Giant and Chimera couldn't see him, which is unfortunate. As he did the same with the Barrow Knights, by the way. And as you can see here, he pops his caster out of the unit, thinking that I don't have any shooting or anything that can take him. But I have both Swarm of Insect and a Jörmungandr who have not used his breath weapon yet, so that feels so nice for me to be able to take out his caster in my turn 6, hopefully. Well, this combat goes a little bit better for me. He did get some buff on to his zombies, but I win anyway, and you can see his unit are starting to losing numbers. Well, so after that combat, I reformed into ranks to be able to just out of the arc of his skeletons. Well, and turn 6 for me, everything is failing. The caster moves out of the arc of his Barrow Knights, but he could not get out of the arc of his Vampiric Knights. So I had 2 spells, which I needed, of course, one of them to get off. First was summon spell, just to put him in front of the Vampiric Knights and be able to use the breath weapon and hopefully get rid of it, because he have 2 scoring units inside my deployment and I needed to take the objective, or at least draw with him. But I rolled my 5 dice for it and I rolled 5 once, so the spell is failure. Then I rolled Swarm of Insect. Hopefully his Vampiric Knight only had 1 wound remaining because of the Break the Spirit spell. And yeah, I throw it at him. With miscast I get killed for a reason, unfortunately. And I didn't kill his Vampiric Knight, which is not good at all. Well, Jormungandr flew up to his caster, and you think his caster have miscast once before and suffered a wound. You think you would be able to roll with 2d6 strength for it, doing 2 wounds, and you have no save of any kind. But I didn't even manage to do a single wound to his caster, so his caster is still alive, which is a bummer. Blood Beast managed to kill off the zombies a little bit too late, because it doesn't grant me any victory points even, so doesn't really matter. Well, for combat I must have forgotten to move the Fallen Beast, cause he could charge him with the skeleton, which is a bummer as well. And the Barbarian did poorly against the zombies and were not able to kill him this turn either. And well, after turn 6 he were able to kill off the Fallen Beast with his skeleton. I were not able to kill off the zombies with my Barbarians, and that's the game. And yeah, it's a big loss for the Warriors of the Dark Gods, unfortunately. 14-6 or something like that, I don't remember exactly, but he scored for the objective and have some more victory points than me, so 14-6 or a 13-7 seems right. But anyway, it was a fun game and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, post them below and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. Feel free to like and start subscribing if you haven't already, and that's it. Have a nice one.